Welcome back. Last time we were here, it was like night out. It was so dark out, and it's so beautiful right now. It's going to be hot this week for Western New York, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting to have nice weather. Anything else? To talk about the gospel reading for the fifth Sunday of Easter.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. When Judas had left them, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and God will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. I give you a new commandment. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. This is how all will know that you are my disciple, if you have love for one another." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. I'm trying to remember. I was like, I said this over the weekend, and then I can't remember what I said, so I'll move on. How's that? But it was a Fulton Sheen quote, whatever it was. It'll come back to me in a minute. I always like to start the videos with me forgetting something. It's a great, great, great thing. But we come to this reading where we have to realize that the glory of God, and especially in John's Gospel, when we talk about glorifying, he's glorified in just the thought of the cross, the shadow of it, the humiliation that's attached to it. In the incarnation itself, God is glorified. In the cross, he's glorified. But it doesn't end with the cross. We know it's proclaimed in the Easter season, so we're kind of focused on resurrection, moving towards the Feast of Ascension. All these raising ups of Jesus that happen, lowering of him in the incarnation to be human, and then the raising up of himself on the cross, and of himself from the tomb, and then of himself in the ascension. We have those three raising ups. Are you okay? They're vacuuming. We'll see if it gets worse or better. This might be our best video ever if we keep doing this up. Anyway, so we have to confront that. We have to confront that whole idea that in that cross, Jesus himself in John's Gospel says, "I'm glorified." And it contains with it this whole idea of humiliation. We tend nowadays to really try to avoid the cross. And I always put it as a way of saying, I refuse to love. That's true. And when you put the cross down, we say, it's the same as saying, I'm refusing to love. It's a hard but true statement, but it's also dealing with pain. We know that word passion means pain. But we know the word means passion. We suffer for what we love. We suffer for people we love. We suffer when they hurt, we hurt, and so on and so forth. We get that. But it's also, we have to undergo challenges, humiliation, pain, and suffering. We have to go through it. If we don't go through it, if we're rescued from it, or if we avoid it, then we don't leave the situation equipped with the tools to deal with any further humiliation. It doesn't make it easier. And anybody who's struggling with something terrible, it certainly doesn't make you feel better, because you're like, okay, can it just go away? And sometimes that pain, sometimes that suffering is anticipatory. It's times of uncertainty in your life. You're waiting to, as priests, we have to every once in a while move. We have to move and leave our prayer. I'm not going anywhere as far as I know, but we have to deal with that uncertainty. Things shift, and it's always, okay, I just want this to be settled. I just want it to, and you're like, okay, you have to go through it. And that's a little thing. And we live in a time where we're seeing violence in the world like we haven't seen since World War II. And the threat of nuclear war and everything. And we have to go through it. I came to terms with this with the coronavirus. I don't want this. I remember sitting around going, no, I'm not doing the coronavirus in 2020. And no, it wasn't. We had to either deal with it in a way that said we have to go through this, or give up. And there was no alternative for us. We can't give up. Have to keep going. In my prayer life, especially when I was younger and there was greater transition and uncertainty in my future and everything like that. Of course, all that stuff is still uncertain, but you understand what I mean when you're trying to figure things out and what you want to do with yourself and all that stuff. I kept praying over it, and the number one thing I heard in the back of my mind was always, just keep going, continue, don't stop. And I think that is probably the preferred response of God to us in prayer when we go and take our challenges. Just keep moving, keep going, keep going. So we have that. The Fulton Sheen quote that I forgot, and now it's come back to me, was, when we see the faithful on Sunday, we think to ourselves, do they really love one another? Are they a unified force in front in the community? Do they come to Mass to receive light and life? Do others see them and say, oh, I want their peace and their joy and the love they have for each other? Or do they say the opposite? Or he says, too often it's exactly the opposite. The funny thing is Fulton Sheen said that, and when I say it, I was like, oh God, that's such a hard thing to say, because you have to admit this. You have to say, he says here, they will know you're my disciples because you love one another. And then we go to war with each other all the time. The Good Shepherd says, I am the Good Shepherd, I keep the flock together. We have pastors that are shepherding us to hold things together. And sometimes you have pastors and people that are more divisive than the people that are sitting in front of you. And it's really, really problematic. And it doesn't matter whether you're a priest, lay person, deacon, pope, bishop, whatever. If you are participating as an agent in division in your parish and in your life and in your family and in the world, you do something horrible. You participate in something that is very grave. And we have very much, you hear this sentence a lot, oh, the problem with the world is this. You can go to any diner or coffee shop within walking distance of us here, and you'll find some expert who's got the world all figured out. What we got to do about Putin is this, and what we got to do about the Supreme Court stuff is this, what we got to do about this. The problem in the world is that the truly evils of division and severing of ourselves from one another, it is become so excused. It's become so permitted. And that's really what we should never permit. It is never given any reason why you may put yourself against another in anger or rage or separation. Love one another as I have loved you. It does not say, with the exception of those people, whoever they may be. It's never said. We're never given as Christian people anything but the command to love one another without exception, unconditionally. It does not mean everything's peaceful all the time on an earthly level. It does not mean we don't have challenges with one another. But we should be looking for an opportunity to always be reconciled, to forgive, to make stronger and better the people with whom we walk on the life. I don't want people to hear this and then think it's okay to be abused or anything like that. If you need assistance and help, seek it from some damaging or dangerous force in your life. But we get it, it's always some little petty thing. I can't even think of an example right now, because it happens all the time. But you see this now with the Supreme Court stuff, with the court case. You see this in politics. You see this with COVID, with the masks, with the vaccines. People fighting with each other over things that were never permitted to divide us. It should never have been permitted to divide. We can accept no division. It is an absolute sign of terrific arrogance and conceit that we say, I know the right way, you got to agree with me. And when we say it in the church where we proclaim Christ as Lord, you've got a huge problem. You again it's defiance against God when you say something like that. So we don't want to hit it too strongly, but I think that we have not looked on division in our church and in our world with the gravity and graveness, if that's a word, that that it ought to have. It's unacceptable for Christian people to hate each other. It's unacceptable for Christian people to hate people who are non-Christian too. So we have to live that. We have to look and be in our community what Jesus commands. Those people love each other so wonderfully, not perfectly, but so fully and so wisely. And this cross, when you do that, when you live your life that way, leads you to great wisdom. Great wisdom. So we offer that today. We offer that today for the readings for this weekend coming up, and remembering that we are sheep of the flock of the really beautiful and good shepherd who calls us and makes us always one in word and sacrament whenever we come together for the great gift that we celebrate in receiving him in the Mass. So have a great week. And enjoy the beautiful weather if you're around here. And if you're having beautiful weather, well, enjoy the bad weather, for that matter, whatever, wherever you are. And we appreciate you spending your time with us. Thank you.